Rudy, I guess we might as well start talking about what we heard about Pierre Poilievre earlier today. Discovered, if you can use that word, that by the time he does in fact get into the House of Commons, once sitting resumes at the end of May, it may be months until he's actually there as leader of the Conservative Party again, right?
Yes, so we'll say exactly when Mark Carney is going to be able to call a by-election, when Pierre Poilievre is going to be able to run in that riding in Alberta, that one of his MP is going to step down to allow him to become an MP. But yes, it is certain that, for example, for the throne speech, when the king is going to be in Ottawa, Pierre Poilievre will see the speech not from the floor of the House of Commons, but from the gallery, like a visitor, and that we'll see if he's able to maybe at the end of June, but perhaps maybe wait until September for him to be a leader of the opposition in the House of Commons. And today they had a meeting. It was the first meeting of the Conservative caucus. They have to pick an interim leader exactly for that. So some names are circulating. We still don't have confirmation. Perhaps Andrew Scheer, who's already the House leader, will step in as the interim leader, but we'll have to wait and have a final confirmation. But yes, Pierre Poilievre will maybe be in the House by end of June, or July if the House stays that long, or only in September.
So let me ask the other question with respect to Pierre Poilievre. Yes, we know another MP is stepping aside to allow him to run in that by-election, whenever it happens to be. What about this talk? I use the word drumbeats getting louder, that maybe, it's time for Pierre Poilievre to go and someone else take over. What are you hearing?
So yesterday, Pierre Poilievre put out a video on his social media where he said something very interesting, and I'm going to quote him: "He needs to learn and to grow." So this is kind of, in a way, maybe a mea culpa from him, saying that there needs to be changes, that maybe he's willing to do some changes. This is exactly what is happening right now. He's meeting with his caucus, so maybe they're doing a postmortem, and maybe he's willing to make some changes. For example, his entourage. I don't know for the moment because it's behind closed door. But yes, there's at least one thing that happened today, that there was a vote. It's a mandatory vote when there's a new parliament for the Conservative caucus. It's called the Reform Act, and it's to allow MP to have the power to expel or to have a vote of confidence for their leader. It was the same thing that happened under Aaron O'Toole, for example. It was voted again under Pierre Poilievre. So the MP do have the power, if they want, to submit their leader to a vote of confidence. But it doesn't mean that it's going to happen. They just have the power if 20% of the caucus decided to do so. But anyhow, Pierre Poilievre, sooner or later, will have to face a convention of the Conservative Party where members, and I say members of the party, will vote on his leadership. So it's now up to Pierre Poilievre to decide when he wants to have this convention. Does he want to have it later or earlier to put this aside? But yes, today, Conservative caucus member of the Conservative Party voted to have the power to trigger, if they want, a confidence vote on Pierre Poilievre's leadership.
So let me ask you, you have your nose to the ground. What are you hearing with respect to his future?
For the moment, I don't see it because, first of all, they need 20% of caucus. I do believe, and Pierre Poilievre addressed this today, he said, look, I understand I had 41% in any normal election. It would have been a Conservative government at 41%. But they need to find a way to break that ceiling. So I do believe that there's some MPs that were not happy how the campaign was put forward. They are not happy about certain strategy. So I do believe that there's some MPs that are not happy, but I don't believe that they don't want to give another chance to Pierre Poilievre. And it's up to him to do the necessary change when it comes to perhaps his entourage or just his style. And he addressed it himself yesterday by saying that he's willing to learn and to grow. So I do believe they are going to allow him some time to make those changes.
So let me close with your reaction to what happened today. Mark Carney meeting Donald Trump, what you thought.
It was a bit unreal because normally it was scheduled just to be what they called a pool spray, which means only the media come in and take a little bit of comments. It stayed for more than 35 minutes of Q&A, of questions and answers. It was a lot of different questions, even something that are not related to Canada. Mr. Trump talked about President Obama and his presidential library. Yeah. He talked about California. But he did have a different tone when it comes to Mark Carney than Justin Trudeau. He even criticized Justin Trudeau, saying that he didn't like him. He even said that he didn't like Chrystia Freeland. He didn't name her, but He told Mr. Carney, you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, that despicable woman, that one?
Yeah, exactly. So look, I do believe that Mark Carney passed the test. Yes, Mr. Trump did talk about the 51st state, but Mr. Carney did respond to him, said, look, Canada is not for sale, same way as your White House is not for sale or Buckingham Palace is not for sale. Canada is not for sale. He even said, I spoke to a Canadian who own Canada, and they're not willing to sell. But I do believe that it was a good and frank meeting, but it was only a first contact. There's still a lot of doubts. What is going to be negotiated? When are they going to start negotiation? For the moment, tariffs are still on, but I do believe that it was a first good meeting. But again, there was talks also about, Mr. Trump again said that the U.S. is subsidizing Canada up to $200 billion, which is not the case. It's a trade deficit. It's not subsidy. He also again said that, the U.S. don't need autos from Canada, for example, don't need lumber from Canada, don't need oil and gas from Canada, which is not true, which is not the reality. So it was a tough meeting, but at the same time, you can see that the tone and the relationship between Mr. Carney and Mr. Trump was kind of a reset from past experience with former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau.
Last thing I will ask you, try to explain if you can, what's going on, what Danielle Smith's play is out in Alberta, all this talk about separation, which has got a lot of Canadians wondering what the hell is going on. So what are you seeing here? What's the take here?
So Alberta Premier Danielle Smith just yesterday said that if there's 10% of Albertans that sign a petition, she will allow to have a question on the future of Alberta when it comes to having a referendum in 2026. So now that's the question. She did say that she doesn't support it, that she doesn't support Canada from separating from Canada. But if there's 10%, before it was 20%, now it's 10%. If there's a petition forward, she will call a referendum in 2026. So now we're kind of in a situation where the question is there going to be a referendum in Alberta before Quebec? As we know, there's going to be an election late in Quebec in 2026 for possibly a referendum in 2027 if it's the PQ is elected. Now it looks like possibly there's going to be a referendum in Alberta. But is it going to pass? For the moment, I don't think so. But the bar is very low at 10% to be able to have a referendum, and that Albertans are going to be asked if they want to stay in Canada.
All right. We'll leave it at that, Rudy. I thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Aaron.